All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace, as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a 1 in the live chat, and then we can get today's stream started. And while I'm waiting for the ones to come into the chat, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please stop ghost watching the channel and hit the subscribe button, okay? And hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them of this news and information. And that does also help give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, and with the ones coming into the live chat, we can get today's show started. Let's get it started, everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. Today we're going to be discussing rather briefly, but not in a rush like the last two streams. Definitely not in a rush, but rather briefly, what I want to do today is discuss how desperate Biden is and how much of a liar Biden is. And this is all really coming to a head with the upcoming debate, right, between him and Trump that's set for, I believe it's June 27th, right? This is bringing out a lot of desperation in Biden right now. And what I mean by that is this. Some of you may be aware of this. Some of you may not be. But Biden is, once again, or at least his administration, they're teasing an executive order that would have to do with securing the border, right? And there's actually, if you read a couple of other articles concerning this, because Biden's been teasing this since the top of this year, right? Or at least sources from the White House have been telling multiple publications since the top of this year that Biden may be releasing executive orders, right? And I want to get into one article concerning an executive order, concerning why Biden has been delaying putting out the executive orders to secure the border, right? This is what Axios came up with as it pertains to why these executive orders haven't happened yet. I want to go through this very quickly. It states President Biden's road to a dramatic executive order to stem illegal border crossings, now expected within weeks, has dragged out for months as he prepares for legal challenges, political backlash, and enforcement shortages, right? So these are some of the reasons that Axios has been giving as to why these executive orders haven't come to fruition yet. It also went on to read, with Republicans making the border a top 2024 issue, Biden has been trying to find the right language to impose a crackdown without getting instantly shut down by the courts or facing an open revolt by his progressive base. And, all that makes sense, I'll give him that. I'll give him that. But the thing is that in reality, Biden doesn't actually want to sign these executive orders, but he has to sign them, right? He doesn't want to, but he has to do something. Because with the coming debate that's on the rise in between him and Donald Trump, he cannot go into the debate without having done something, at least on paper, as it pertains to securing the border. He has to be able to debate and argue against Trump to some degree in which he can defend himself. If not, Trump is going to dog walk him. He's going to dog walk him. And the reality is this, in my opinion, Trump is going to dog walk him anyways, particularly and especially when it comes to the border. He's going to do that regardless. But once again, Biden has to have something to say. But in signing these executive orders, it then proves him to be a liar, right? Because he stated to us that there's nothing he can do, right? He has done all that he can do, and without the bipartisan border security bill, whatever it's called, right? Without that, there's nothing he can do. He needs the power, and he doesn't have the power unless that bill passes. Now, we've gone through this before in the past. Congresswoman Nicole Meliotakis, she listed out 8 things that Biden could do right now if he wanted to close the border. So the reality is this, he's always been a liar, right? Him citing the executive order now doesn't just simply prove him a liar because we didn't know he was one. We always knew he was one. As this reads here, it states 8 authorities President Biden could utilize today to address the crisis at the border. Number 1, end catch and release. Number 2, reinstate remain in Mexico. Number 3, enter asylum cooperative agreements. Number 4, end parole abuse. Number 5, detain inadmissible aliens. Number 6, use expedited removals. Number 7, rein in taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal immigrants. And number 8, issue a proclamation to suspend or restrict entry. So once again, there has always been a litany of things that he could have done, but he's always chosen not to do it. He's always chosen not to do it. And once again, he desperately does not want to sign these bills as well. But again, he has to defend himself some way, because when it comes to the American voter, as we all know, and as we've discussed before on this channel multiple times, to the American voter, immigration is now the top issue. It's been the top issue in the country since February. We'll go through this very quickly as some review as well. Significantly more Americans name immigration as the most important problem facing the U.S. This article also goes on to read, when you scroll down a little bit more see illegal immigration as a critical threat to the U.S. A separate question in the survey finds a record high 55% of U.S. adults, 8 points from last year, saying that large number of immigrants entering the United States illegally is a critical threat to the U.S. vital interests. The prior high was 50% in 2004. And when you have videos like what I released today showing what's going on in Chicago, where in downtown Chicago, you had Lord knows how many legal Venezuelan migrants out in the street, seemingly taking over downtown Chicago, scaring off and pushing back the Chicago PD. If you haven't seen that video, I strongly suggest you go watch it. Go to the homepage of this YouTube channel. And if you go to the playlist that says today's news, please go watch that video. Because we're talking about a shelter in downtown Chicago that holds roughly around 1,200 illegal immigrant Venezuelan migrants. And they simply outnumbered the police. At least that's what it showed on video. There were squad cars everywhere, but the migrants showed absolutely no fear of the police and actually backed the police down and made them run off. So when you have stuff like this happening, that just doesn't help Biden at all whatsoever. And with situations like this occurring as well, that is also why, as we've discussed prior, more and more Americans are warming up to mass deportations. More and more Americans, to be exact, the majority of American citizens are in support of Donald Trump style mass deportations, or what he would do, right? Because one of the things that obviously we all know Trump has been running on, outside of fixing the economy and things concerning, international affairs, is that he's going to close down the border and instate, if I'm quoting him correctly, the greatest mass deportation to ever happen in American history, right? Normally, under normal circumstances, especially when it comes to Democrats, you wouldn't see people so gun-ho, because the thought and the idea of mass deportation, to some degree, it kind of sounds inhumane, you can say. Some people will kind of look at it as that, how are you going to round up, millions and millions of people? But once again, when you have so many situations like we've discussed on this channel, in between what we see going on in Chicago and New York concerning migrant violence, right? And all these altercations, physical altercations between illegal immigrant migrants and the police, let alone the citizen population, which is something that doesn't get discussed much often. And then you take into consideration how much money these legal immigrant migrants are costing these blue cities, right? Yeah, more and more people want mass deportations. And that's something that Trump is offering up that Biden isn't. Let's get into this article right here. And as you can see right here, it states general public 51% are in favor of Trump's mass deportation, right? Half of Americans, including 42% of Democrats, say they'd support mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, according to a new Axios Vibe survey by the Harris poll. And 30% of Democrats, as well as 46% of Republicans, get this, now say they put an end to birthright citizenship. This is how fed up people are. This is how fed up everybody is. Something guaranteed under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Why it matters: Americans are open to former President Trump's harshest immigration plans, spurred on by record surge of illegal border crossings and a relentless messaging war waged by Republicans. President Biden is keenly aware the crisis threatens his reelection. And I've been saying this over and over again on this channel. I do strongly believe that the border crisis, right, the migrant crisis, is Biden's Achilles heel. On top of all the other things that we have going on here, as far as inflation is concerned, and the cost of gas and the cost of food, the migrant crisis, that is his Achilles heel. That's really what's going to be what takes Biden out, in my opinion, right? But the article goes on to read, he sought to flip the script by accusing Trump of sabotaging Congress's most conservative bipartisan immigration bill in decades. I don't know if I'd say all that. But when it comes to blame, Biden so far has failed to shift the narrative. 32% of respondents say his administration is most responsible for the crisis, outranking any other political or structural factor. Because, I mean, come on, man. At the end of the day, everybody can't be that stupid. Even if you're a vote blue, no matter who, you can't be that stupid. We all know that this is Biden's fault. We all know that the border is busted wide open because of Biden. So all things considered, when we take into account how agitated the American population is with the migrant crisis, this is what now has put Biden in a state of desperation, to where he has to sign something to make it look like he's doing something. Okay. And this is also why we have Senator Chuck Schumer, who is now making it a point to reintroduce the already failed bipartisan border bill. As you can see here, Senator Schumer tells Democrats he'll reintroduce bipartisan border bill, right? He took it upon himself to let them know, I got this. I know we're struggling out here. I know Trump is getting ready to wash us. Let me take care of this. I'm going to try and reintroduce that bill That failed already, but I'll see if I can get it through this time. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer will bring the bipartisan border deal that was negotiated earlier this year by a group of senators back up on the floor this week for a standalone vote. And he said in a letter to his colleagues released Sunday night. He said this last Sunday in a letter to his colleagues. Once again, they're desperate. They have to do something, but it's all fake. It's all fraud. It's all lies. They could have always done something and they chose not to. Now, the good thing is that this bill, which is a garbage bill, and we've discussed this numerous times over, but I'm not going to get into it right now. But this bill, which is a garbage bill, House GOP says revived bill would be dead on arrival as Senate plans to vote on it. And I'll just read this paragraph really quickly. House Republican leadership said Monday that a Senate effort to revive a once failed border security measure is dead on arrival in the lower chambers, but the legislation may not make it out of the Senate. And most likely it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to make it out of Senate, let alone make its way to the House of Representatives. That just simply isn't going to happen. But what I want to do now is transition back over to the New York Post article, because I want to read a little bit of what I have highlighted in this article here. Because what Biden is attempting to do seemingly, right? What he's attempting to do seemingly is sign some executive orders that mirror the garbage bipartisan border bill that has been rejected already. Since it can't pass through the Senate and the House, he'll break it up into multiple executive orders and attempt to get these measures through in that way. That's why you see the title of this article reads, Biden plans executive order to shut down border once crossing reaches 4,000 per day, despite saying he needs Congress to act. That's a reflection of 4,000 per day of what was in the bipartisan border bill. Now, give me a second to take a sip of this coffee that's cold here. I feel like I'm sounding more and more like RFK Jr. in the throat. I'm sounding like Biden plans executive order to shut down the border once crossings reach 4,000 per day, despite saying he needs Congress to act. I feel like that's how I sound. My voice is like killing me right now. So let me take a sip of this so I can stop sounding like RFK Jr. Give me just a second. Okay. I think my voice is back, but not really. What is going on? All right, give me just one more second. I'm sorry. Is it back? Yeah, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better now. I feel like I don't sound like RFK Jr. anymore. Before we carry on, I do want to make sure to give my thank yous to those who are contributing to today's stream, because I do not exist without everyone's support that they show to this channel. So very quickly, thank you very much, Jerry Early, for always coming through. My man in Hawaii, he says, thank you, TDMG, listening to you in the rain over here in Hawaii. Oh, it's raining over there right now. Okay, so it's raining over there in Hawaii, but I appreciate you for always showing me support from way over in Hawaii. Thank you very much, Jerry Early. My man, Saul, who's keeping the lights on in my home. And he's the reason that, my son has food in the refrigerator because he always comes through every stream. Saul said, why are progressive voters pro-open borders? Let's be honest. We have friends and family that we may hesitate allowing in our home. So why allow complete foreigners to fail to properly ID themselves into the country? And that's the mystery question. That is a great question, Saul. There's a lot of different answers to that. As we've discussed over here, and obviously, as you know, we've talked about on numerous occasions how, or I should say at least on two occasions, how illegal immigration impacts the U.S. Census. Illegal immigrants do get counted within the U.S. Census. And then when it comes down to deciding how many delegates should represent said state, that's decided based upon the population count, right? And you have cities slash states like Chicago, Illinois, New York City, even Los Angeles, California, where the population has decreased steadily for years. In Chicago, to be more specific over there, they're on their 9th year of population decline. So they absolutely need illegal immigration to keep their population steady and afloat so that they don't lose too many delegates within the House of Representatives, and then that's not also, we can get into non-citizen voting in local elections and so on and so forth. Bills that were attempted to pass in New York City, but it failed. The Supreme Court shut it down. But that is being, I believe, what is called appealed. I believe it failed in Boston twice. In Chicago, they're taking their time. They're going to. It's only a matter of time before they introduce it. J.B. Pritzker is non-citizen, crazy. He's already introduced this year, I believe, at the top of this year. What is it? Non-citizen drivers. Non-citizens can get driver's license in Illinois now. He's instated non-citizen policing. So non-citizens can now become police officers, in Illinois, which is really Chicago, right? So it's only a matter of time till that happens over there. And in Washington, D.C., non-citizen voting passed, I believe it was late last year. Non-citizen voting became law late last year. So they already actually have that over there. And if I'm not mistaken, here in Los Angeles, we have non-citizen voting too, I believe. But I think we've had that for a long time now. And then there's other reasons too. The rabbit hole is deep that you can go down as to why this is happening, but these are just the reasons that I've covered, since this has all happened. But once again, that is a great question, Saul. And thank you very much, Adrian Hicks, for 19 months of service. That's a long time, Adrian. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, Adrian, for 19 months of service as a channel member. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into this article here, right? And hit the like button if you haven't already. There's 349 of you on the stream right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't. That is extremely important to the growth of the channel as well. Now, let's get into this New York Post article very quickly as we're somewhat rounding this stream out, as we're rounding it out, right? So let's jump into this. And the article reads as such. President Biden is planning executive action that would allow him to shut down the U.S.-Mexico border once the number of migrant crossings reach 4,000 per day, a source close to the White House told the Post Wednesday. The order would match a provision in the bipartisan border bill that failed to pass the Senate in February, which gave president authority to expel migrants when border crossings reach a same daily average. The legislative proposal would have given the Homeland Security Secretary discretionary authority to carry out removals, but would have made deportations mandatory when illegal entries surpass 5,000 per day over a 1-week period, right? That's essentially normalizing the Biden crisis. We'll shut down the border once we reach a daily average of 5,000 illegal immigrant crossings. Then we'll shut the border down, right? That's crazy. That's insane. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the current daily average of illegal immigrant crossings, I believe currently right now is around 5,500, maybe 5,900. At its peak, I believe back in December, it was about 9,000. But it's already at about, like I said, 5,500 as of last month's numbers, right? So essentially, with that bill, the bipartisan bill, you'd be codifying the migrant crisis. It would just be with us forever. And he's seeking to do something similar with that through executive action. That's what it appears that Biden is attempting to do. The bill allowed for the suspension of that authority 2 weeks after the 7-day average falls to 75% of those levels. The article continues to read. And also, for those of you who are new to the channel, after the stream is over, every article that you see on the screen right now, every video that I play, after the stream is over, I'll have the links in the description box below, so you can read this stuff for yourself, which I strongly suggest that you do. A spokeswoman for House Speaker Mike Johnson, who has repeatedly called Biden to take action on the border, said the executive order would prove the president doesn't need Congress to pass legislation to take action at the border. Once again, it proves that he's a liar, and that's a bad look too. When it comes to this Biden crisis, at this point, no matter how you slice it, he loses. There's really nothing that he can do to make anything better as it pertains to having some sort of helpful defense against Trump during the debate in June. There's nothing he can do. If he signs the executive order, it proves that he's a liar. If he doesn't sign the executive order, then it shows that he has done absolutely nothing in a would-be 4-year period that the migrant crisis has been going on. And with that, Trump would mop the floor with him. So it's a lose-lose either way. In January, Biden insisted that lawmakers had to approve the border bill before he could take further action to limit illegal immigration, telling reporters that he had done all he can do. I want to actually play that video right now of him saying that. You know, basically when he lied to the American public, right? Let's run that really quickly.
Have you done with executive authority? Or is there more you could do? Absent done all I can do. Just give me the power. I've asked from the very day I got in office. Give me the border patrol.
The very day you got in office, the first thing you did was that you rolled back all of Trump's border protections. That was the first thing you did when you got in office. You know, you didn't say, give me the power. You said, let me open these borders as soon as you got into office. That's what you said. The first day he got in office, he said, let me open these borders, you know? And now that this migrant crisis is happening, now he's pretending that he's been saying, give me the power from the beginning, which is a lie. Joe Biden is a liar.
Give me the power. I've asked from the very day I got in office. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people who can stop this and make it work right.
I mean, what can you say other than that? The fact that he's a liar. What can you say other than the fact that he's a liar, right? Let's get back into this article here as we're rounding things out. The article continues to read. I think I'm on the last paragraph. He said, just give me the power. I've asked that from the very day I got into office, he said at the time, which is a lie. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people who can stop this and make it work right. It was actually working right before you got into office. Everything was working just fine before you got into office. Once you got into office, that's when everything broke down and failed. Intentionally and deliberately. The administration recently introduced new restrictions for asylum interviews taking place at the southern border to allow officers to quickly remove migrants who do not have a credible fear of returning to their country, returning to their home country from the U.S. We're examining whether or not I have the power. Biden 81. He's still running with this lie. And I quote, we're examining whether or not I have that power, Biden 81 told Univision's Enrique Acvito last month of another order reportedly under consideration that would raise the credibility fear standard for asylum seekers. So once again, he's looking to sign multiple executive orders. That's what he's looking to do. The president had also mulled executive action to ban migrants from being granted asylum if they cross the border illegally between ports of entry, and remove others at designated entries when crossing met an unannounced threshold, Politico reported in February. But at the end of the day, all of this is too little too late. All of this is too little too late. When this has been the norm, what I'm going to show you now, when this has been the norm, for the past going on 4 years now, it's too little too late to pretend like you're trying to do something at the border because you're looking for votes. Look at the ridiculousness of this. And this isn't even the worst video that's out there of how egregious these border crossings are. But just look at how they just have no fear. They don't care. Look at this. He's just cutting the barbed wire. Let me run it back a little bit with the full screen. This guy just pulled up to the barbed wire, you know, with whatever that is, with a wire cutter or chain cutter, barbed wire cutter, whatever you want to call it. He just pulled up willy-nilly like, don't mind me. I'm just going to cut this barbed wire to let everybody through. Okay. That is not asylum seeking. On no level is that asylum seeking. That is breaking and entering. That's what that is. That is a breaking and entering. That is not asylum seeking on no level. And this isn't even the worst of these type of videos. Not even close to being the worst of these type of videos. There are more egregious looking entries that have occurred and that we've talked about here, you know, like when those migrants, Biden's migrants, you know, put hands and feet on, what was it? The Border Patrol in Texas. They put hands and feet on them. And then they were all, you know, released. All the charges were dropped by a Democrat judge down there in Texas. But once again, in closing, no one's going for this. No one's going for this. Sheriffs down at the border aren't going for this. DHS isn't going for this. Nobody's going for this. That actually has anything to do with the border, right? And that works at the border regularly, whether past or present. And I want to get into this video in closing.
Is there border?
And rewind it back just a little bit.
Why all of a sudden is there border security being pushed? Because it's an election year. And what do presidents do? They talk to each other. Hey, you got to slow this down. They talk to each other all the time.
What he's talking about right now when he said, what do presidents do? They talk to each other. He's talking about Biden and the president of Mexico. He's talking about Biden and the president of Mexico. From my understanding right now, outside of the fact that, you know, the majority of the border crossings have now shifted from Texas to San Diego, there is a bit of a slowdown. And the reason that slowdown has occurred is because Biden has, you know, convinced the president of Mexico to, hey, man, you know, please on your end, slow it down. And I've said this in the past numerous times. The Mexican president is quite possibly more to blame for the Biden crisis than Joe Biden is, because they all have to come through Mexico first. So if the president of Mexico isn't doing his job, right, then by the time they get up here, you know, when you have a president like Biden who isn't doing his job, you now have the migrant crisis that, you know, we're dealing with, right? So I just wanted to clarify that. But right now there is a slight slowdown, even though San Diego's getting hammered right now. There is a slight slowdown that has happened because Biden has communicated with the president of Mexico and said, hey, man, the election's coming up soon. Do me a solid. Just for right now, just kind of slow it down a little bit, okay? Do what you can and help me out. And that's what's going on currently at the moment, right?
They talk to each other. Hey, you got to slow this down. They talk to each other all the time. So they ask them to slow it down because it's bad look for them. And I don't care what administration it is. From a public safety standpoint, what they're doing is wrong. They're not even enforcing the laws that are on the books now as it is. When the president
The sheriff said they're not even enforcing the law now as it's on the books as it is. Let's run that back one more time.
Them, and I don't care what administration it is, from a public safety standpoint, what they're doing is wrong. They're not even enforcing the laws that are on the books now as it is. When the president says that he needs the authority from Congress so he can secure the border, That was a bull-faced lie. He's already got in the Code of Federal Regulations the ability to just shut the border down.
Look, I think the Biden administration and President Biden is taking.
Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf.
Ability to just shut the border down.
Look, I think the Biden administration and President Biden is taking actions because it's a presidential election year, right? We're almost 3.5 years into a crisis, and only now are they starting to take certain executive actions. These are actions that we have been pleading with the administration to take for 2.5 to 3 years. They've repeatedly told the American people that he doesn't have the authority, that he needs Congress to act on a bill, and yet they're starting to act using executive authority. So which is it? So I think the American people are understand what's going on here. And then the measures that they're actually talking about aren't going to have a material difference on what's going on at the border.
Once again, he said the measures that they're doing now, essentially, or that they're attempting to do, they're not going to have a measurable impact at the border. These are meaningless, measures that he's taking, meaningless executive orders that he's preparing to sign. They're not going to have any real impact at the border. And once again, this is what is it? He's the former acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary. I think the former acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary knows what he's talking about when he's speaking. I think he knows what he's talking about when he's speaking, right? And when he says that the stuff that Biden's pushing forward to do now, right, as it pertains to executive action and other things that he's trying to do last minute, especially once again now with the Trump debate looming over his head, it's not going to have an impact. It's all for votes. It's all for votes. But I don't see any of it working. I don't see any of it working at all. People can't be this dumb for it to work. I refuse to believe. I know some of you guys are like, yeah, people aren't that dumb, TD. But I refuse to believe that people are this absolutely dumb to fall for any of what Biden's trying to do now with all of these fake measures that he's putting forth to try and put a slowdown to the migrant crisis, right? But as I always state, that's yet to be seen. And we'll see if people are that dumb in November. We'll see that they are that dumb in November. Thank you very much, Black Spider. I didn't forget about you. I appreciate your super sticker and the contribution that you've given to this channel, Black Spider. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining me today. Today was a very good, productive stream. I appreciate you all for showing out. Please, on the way out, all 414 of you, please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. I know out of the 414 of you, there's at least 20 of you that are ghost watching, if not more. Stop ghost watching. I catch you guys all the time. You admit in the comment section all the time. You stop ghost watching and hit the subscribe button. Okay, and hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button. All right. Follow, share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram as well. The link to my Telegram TD Media group is linked in the description box below. And will be pinned in the comment section as well once the stream is over. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great evening. I appreciate you, Ross, for 9 months of service. Thank you very much. Stating we have to keep educating the people. Yes, we do. And I will continue to do that. And I'll be back to do it again tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'll catch you guys then. Peace.